Good morning everybody. Now a big thank you to Mark and Ryan at Long Island Watches for sending me this watch to review. Ironically, like Simon over at Watch the Time, I fell in love with it and Island Watches sold me this review model at a discounted price, so I suppose that makes this video partially sponsored. Of course this will make absolutely no difference to my review. The company is USA based and they sell other brands as well as the ones they design and have made. This isn't just the first linen dial watch I've reviewed. To be honest, it's the first one I've handled, and I have to say, it looks terrific. So let's get on. And welcome to my unpaid and partially sponsored review of the Islander ISL 131. Okay, so on with the dimensions. Well, it's got a 38mm case, the lug width is 20mm, the depth is 11mm, and the lug to lug is a nice 47mm, which does include the male end link. And once adjusted for my 17cm wrist, it weighs in at 115 grams. In my opinion, this is the perfect size for a watch of this type. Now for your information, I would consider this to be a sporty type dress watch, and believe it wears true to size. And here's the somewhat basic packaging. It's obvious that Island Watches don't spend the money on their boxes, but it does the job, I suppose. And this is my watch of the day. It's the Mitch Mason Chronicle. It's a 36mm sports watch, but looks larger because of the case design. The crown screws down to aid the 100-metre water resistance, which is more than reasonable for a watch of this type. It's signed, well gnawed and engages well. In fact, the engagement is as good, if not better, than any other watch I've handled with this movement in it. Inside is a Miyota 9015 high beat automatic movement, a calibre I'm very familiar with. It's a 4Hz and it ticks away at 28,800 beats per hour. It hacks and it hand winds. It's got a 42-hour power reserve and it's renowned for its reliability. They can be very accurate when regulated correctly, but the positional variance doesn't tend to be as good as say something like the Sellita SW200. Now some people moan about its noisy unidirectional rotor. It's not something that's ever bothered me, and I don't tend to hear it when it's on my wrist. Anyway, let's see what the time grapher thinks of this one. And there's a healthy movement, a good beat error, a good amplitude, and a great rate of +4 seconds a day. No issues there. It's got a flat sapphire crystal with a degree of AR coating on the underneath. The 316L case is very good, especially for a watch of this price. The tops of the lugs are satin brushed, whilst the rest of the very nicely shaped case is polished. And when I say it's nicely shaped, it really does fit the back of the wrist very well. However, where the case shape transitions fall short of a more expensive watch. But what do you expect? Underneath is a screw down exhibition back which is made of mineral crystal. This shows off the rather plain movement, and whilst I know some people are lovers of exhibition backs, I'm not the greatest fan, unless of course it's showing off a particularly pretty movement. All in all though, the case shouldn't disappoint. It goes without saying that the linen dial is one of the watch's show-stopping features. As mentioned in the intro, this is the first linen dial watch I've ever got to handle, and I have to say I like it. I like it very much. Now there are several colours available without the linen finish, and I've left a link in the description below. The actual dial layout reminds me of the Rolex Oyster Perpetual. And whilst quite generic, it's classy at the same time. The chrome framed indices are simple batons, and there is a framed date window at the 6th, which in my belief offers nice symmetry. Unfortunately, the silver hands against the white background doesn't make the watch the easiest to read at a glance, but something has to give, I suppose. At the top is the Islander logo, which I'm not the greatest fan of, but it doesn't offend me either, and over the date window it simply reads automatic. The stick hands and the batons are filled with C3 lume, and whilst not the strongest lume I've ever seen, it's quite respectable for a timepiece of this sort, so let's have a look at that lume. As you can see, the watch comes with a 5-piece Jubilee bracelet, although I suspect there would be many straps that would look really good with this style. The bracelet doesn't quite have the feel of some of the Jubilees that I've handled, but it's considerably better than, say, something like the one that they put in the SKX, for example. The solid end link fits really well to the case, but if you look carefully, it fits differently on the left hand side than it does on the right hand side, and it's the same on either end of the bracelet. Unfortunately, there aren't any quick release spring bars or drilled lugs, but it does have screw pins for easy adjustment. Now it tapers down from 20mm to 17mm, then back up to 18mm for the clasp. Now strangely enough, the clasp isn't signed, and it's quite generic. However, it's secure and it does the job. It's got 3 micro adjustments, double pushers, a flip lock, and it's half milled. So price and value for money. Now if you live in the USA, this watch will cost you $349, which includes free postage. At the point of making this video, a 5% discount code is also available. Apparently the full price is $449, but in all honesty, I doubt anybody's actually really paid that. Of course, if you live in the UK, you have to factor in a $15 postage cost and a 20% duty fee. Now whether you feel this is good value for money is down to you, but I would suggest that if you live in the USA, it certainly is. The only QC issue I could find was the fit of the end link as mentioned earlier, but that's being really picky. As nice as the watch is, and it is nice, it's very nice, there are a few things I would change if I could. Firstly, I would give it a nicely embossed case back rather than the exhibition one that's on it. Secondly, I would like to see quick release spring bars included, and finally, it's not a $100 watch, so let's see some nicer packaging. Of course, there is so much to like. The dial is absolutely stunning, the movement is a very good choice, and it's amongst the most comfortable watches I've ever worn. So in summary, in the last few years, enthusiasts of reasonably priced watches have stopped buying nothing but divers and have started looking at sportier, more dressy type watches, and it's nice to see Long Island watches have paid attention to these trends. All in all, I would happily recommend this watch, especially as I decided to buy one myself. I would like once again to thank Ryan and Mark for sending me this to review. Now that brings me to the end of this review, so if you've enjoyed it, please click on the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, leave your comments below and enjoy the rest of your day.